Oh, baby, the Degens are back. Let's go.
We are back.
We are back. Oh, my goodness. We had a long break. You know, Dynasty Streets don't have a lot of action going on. I mean, it's not actionable action. This is actionable action that we're going to be talking about today. We are going to kind of go through the 25 season that we just – all the good, all the bad, everything that we went through, you know, the heartbreak, the championships, everything in between. I think that there is a lot to assess based on Dynasty. You know, there's a lot of people that did disappoint. There's a lot of people that came up and they just destroyed their ADP. You know, we're talking about Javonte Williams going in the 13th round of Dynasty startups and being an RB1. There's just so much juicy nuggets that we can take and look at, and then kind of go into the 26th season and talk about whether it's going to be real or not. Do we want to take this stuff and run with it? You know, like speaking of Javonte Williams, he might be getting an extended contract. I mean, there's stuff to talk about here, man. I'm excited. But first of all, Dane, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. It's been a long time since we've been behind the mics together. So it's awesome. Happy to be back, and Happy New Year to you. And Dynasty never sleeps.
Dynasty never sleeps, man. Yeah, in between, I actually had a nice gnarly accident. So this is the first pod that I've actually got to do on my own in a while. You know, I think that I'm pretty grateful that you guys held down the brand while I was laid up. And, you know, it's nice to be back for sure. Let's get into the coach talk just real quick before we get into all the players and everything. Jim Harbaugh. So Jim Harbaugh lost his job because of that loop kick, right? Like if he makes that kick, he still has a job. Am I wrong?
I think we saw enough tension between Harbaugh and Lamar this season. You know, choices of not running Derrick Henry as much. It seemed like they were clock management, game management issues through the year. I think this was just the cherry on top to say, okay, this has been a long time coming. You've been here for 18 years. Time for a new voice in that locker room.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about 18 years, and I think that the writing is on the wall when you're talking about Lamar Jackson in his prime being somewhat wasted. I mean, just like the team build obviously has some holes and everything, but they've been there before. They have the same team carried over, obviously a healthy Lamar, just not really bringing it to the next level. And I think that's really what you have to do in the situation is change up. And then realistically, you know, this brings Harbaugh to, I mean, he's a wanted man. You know, he's probably going to be wanted by every head coaching vacancy. And then teams that still have coaches will probably want to shift over to him at some point. You know, there's a lot of people out there that would absolutely love to have him. And I'm curious who the Ravens have on their list of coaches, you know, with the idea that they knew who they were going to get. Or had an idea of who they wanted before they actually let Harbaugh go. You don't really make that decision unless you guys really did your research and kind of, you know, at least poked a little bit around. And, you know, I'm not saying tampered, but tampering a little bit is definitely what you want to do when you're in this situation.
Yeah, I think that's right. You got to have some form of a succession plan. It's not just pull the pin. You have to understand that if Harbaugh's leaving, he's loyal to a fault. We've seen that with his coaching staff. We've seen that with players where Mark Andrews and Bateman got contract extensions that they probably shouldn't have deserved. But you have to think that when Harbaugh's leaving, he's going to be taking some other coaches with him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that whole squad is gonna up and leave, and then we're talking about, you know, I think Lamar Jackson probably is going to have a lot to say about who his next coach is. I think he's probably going to be in that meeting and make that decision. It's got to be somebody that fits his skill set that he's going to get along with too. You know, I mean, Lamar is a pretty laid back dude, but at this point, you know, he's 29 years old and he's tired. He's sick of, you know, falling short, and he wants to be in the right position to succeed, obviously. But you know what? I mean, everything else is ancillary to me. I know there's been a lot of coaches moving. I don't want to spend a lot of time on these coaches. Harbaugh really just the big guy that I really wanted to talk about, because the Ravens, to me, are running out of time. You know, so I think that this change and this move has to really push them in that right direction. Or, you know, I think Lamar could easily demand a trade if we don't see any production and success this year. But 2025 let's talk about that real quick. Let's talk about these guys that disappointed in 2025. This is going to be our resolution podcast. So we are going to talk about the guys that didn't do well, that did do well, and then moving forward to next season, who we think is the real deal, who we think that is going to actually carry over or rise like a phoenix and come back from the dead, which was a lot of these guys that we're about to talk about. The first one is Jayden Daniels. Obviously, we saw Jayden Daniels deal with a lot of injuries, but regression happened on that team altogether. And I think that you and I talked about this ad nauseum in pods in the offseason, that it's pretty common for second-year quarterbacks to regress, to deal with a lot of the issues, especially when you're in a dream scenario and you had that kind of rookie year. It's tough to repeat that. We saw Justin Herbert do that. We see these guys all the time come out their rookie year and have monster years, and then they regress back to, obviously the coach situation, the system. Like they had one of the oldest teams in the league at one point, and that's gonna carry over and hold some weight to it, especially when you're talking about Terry having an injury-plagued season, and Zach Ertz, everybody is on their last leg, almost talking about a team with the average age of 29 years old. So it's a tough team to say we're going to have success every year with. But Jayden Daniels was 102. That's his ADP of 2025. And tell me where Jayden Daniels finished as a whole here.
Like just an injury-riddled season for him. Like you had said earlier, he ended up finishing as a quarterback 34. And that, even with the banged up season, you think that the dual threat ability that he is, that he still could have put something to better or a better product on the field. Like there were times where Marcus Mariota looked like he was commanding that offense much better than Jayden Daniels. And now we're going to see if they add weapons. And with Cliff gone, maybe, you probably know more than me. I think Cliff's MO is he comes out guns blazing for a season or two, and then it's a very vanilla. He doesn't know how to adapt and change that offense. So yeah, Jayden Daniels, QB 34 on the year. That's really hurt people that were taking him high in startups.
Yeah. I mean, to touch on that, I think Jayden Daniels really like Cliff Kingsbury, but I think that he is handicapping Jayden Daniels' skill set. I think that offense as a whole gets stagnant. They have this guy that is quarterbacking that has multifaceted skills that can do so much more, but they're running an offense that isn't really fitting his skill set sometimes. And that's tough to watch. Like you want to see that like open offense that, okay, you have the option there. And there was a lot of situations where Jayden Daniels wasn't allowed to open that offense up to the way that he wanted to. But I mean, it is tough, man. We're talking about injuries, and obviously there's the idea that Jayden Daniels might carry that injury tag to him long-term in Dynasty. Are you buying that? I mean, it's hard to say either way. I'm not necessarily buying an injury tag on anybody long-term, but is there anything that scares you about Jayden Daniels going forward?
No, I think that's part of it with Jayden Daniels is when you see these dual threat quarterbacks, it's, not to go and look at the stats, that they are injured a higher percentage than a statue quarterback, but you have to take that with the good and the bad. They're going to have those massive weeks for you. And if they stay healthy, they're going to win you some money. I think those are always players that we're going to try and buy that provide such a massive ceiling.
Yeah, absolutely. To move it on a little bit, we're talking about Justin Jefferson. So Justin Jefferson, 106. He was, carried over by JJ McCarthy, who we could talk about as well, but I think I'd rather pass on that. We did a whole pod on JJ McCarthy at some point, and I don't want to repeat this, but you and I were very high on JJ McCarthy coming out, and that looks pretty bad right now, but it is what it is. But Justin Jefferson disappointed a lot of fantasy managers out there. Justin Jefferson, was outproduced by Michael Wilson, was outproduced by a lot of these guys that we're talking about were drafted whole 10 to 12 rounds later than Justin Jefferson. So Justin Jefferson, where does he finish in the fantasy season?
Finishes wide receiver 21. And just to add on top of that, by the end of the year, like he looked like, okay, we're going to have JJ progress. We're going to get him in this system. And then you heard Aaron Jones kind of talk about it first, that they need to make things more vanilla for JJ. And by the end of it, you could just, or for JJ McCarthy, but by the end of it, you could tell that Jefferson was frustrated. He hit another 1,000-yard season, but he wants more. He doesn't just think that that's enough of getting personal stats. Like, you could see the body language was just like, okay, we got to get this guy going in the offseason, or we got to find something else.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson's not going to come out and say it, but he can definitely tell you in other ways. And I think that he tries to keep it as professional as possible, but that frustration's boiling over. And I'm not entirely sure what they're going to do. They're going to have to bring somebody in for a QB competition, like a lot of these teams are doing with the frustrating quarterbacks. And I think that Justin Jefferson, if you don't necessarily bring somebody in that can move that offense, or JJ McCarthy doesn't take a step forward in that offense, you're talking about somebody that might be in the same boat, at that point, looking for a new team. And, I think that my dream scenario, getting Lamar Jackson to demand a trade and Justin Jefferson demand a trade and have them land. Man, where would they land? I guess the Jets. I don't know where the hell they would go. Who would have enough draft capital and cap space and just the wherewithal to do that? Imagine that. The Jets that would be a Jets thing to do. Like, with no defense and no offensive line, they would just be like, all right, let's blow a wad on these two guys right now.
I had to laugh at a tweet by our own Brad Stalder going and saying, do you think the Vikings, they regret not having Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones right now? And it's like, they regret not having Carson Wentz right now. Like, when there was that soft benching.
Yeah. And it's insane that we are looking at these two guys that they had on the team that found great success this year. Obviously, Sam Darnold is the number one seed over there. I think that he's just laying back, parlaying in his bye week. And Daniel Jones was kind of on his way to the same trajectory. And when he got injured, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were an 8-win team. And I believe we're still in first place in the AFC, if I'm not mistaken there. And it was tough, man. I think you have a lot of regrets. I think that 2025 has a ton of regrets. I mean, another one that we're looking at right now is Saquon Barkley. I think the writing was on the wall with Barkley coming in and, having that massive workload in 2024. And everyone stated, it's really hard for a guy to come back and really be successful after that kind of workload. And everyone's like, well, it's Barkley. Like, you can't really put that on him. You can't really say that that's really what he's looking at, especially when we're talking about somebody superhuman like him. But I mean, he was drafted 204 and he finished where at, Dane?
RB14.
RB14. So, I mean, we're talking about him going above A-Chain, Jonathan Taylor. He went way above Christian McCaffrey. He went above Derrick Henry, Chase Brown, James Cook, way above James Cook. James Cook was 503. We're going to talk about him a little later. There was just a lot of production behind Barkley, unfortunately. And I think that I'm okay selling Barkley right now. Like, for example, I sold Barkley in our Haters League for Keyshawn Judkins straight up. It was a 1-for-1 trade. And I think I'll wait. I'll do the re-roll on that guy, and I will, eat up the injury discount and ride that out, whether he misses part of next year. I think it's well worth that trade if you want to go and see if the Keyshawn Judkins owner or, anybody that might be a little dinged up but still have, that age gap. I think that it's worth trying to go for that. Is there anybody that you would trade Barkley for in this tier of guys? If we're looking at, I don't know who you can get. Can you get?
You know what? You're in the point now where
you want Chase Brown? Would you want Chase Brown or Saquon Barkley right now?
Right now, I'll just take the chance with Chase Brown. I'll take that. After the way he finished the season when Burrow was back, yeah, I'll stick with Chase Brown.
Would you trade him straight up for RJ Harvey?
I would take the shot on RJ Harvey. Yeah. Any of that. If I can get a reroll on age and still get proper value for a player that we really value in point scoring season, yeah, I'm going to make that reroll.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that's exactly what you want to do in Dynasty. You want to take a guy that is coming off a down year, but still has that name value. And I'm not going to say that Saquon Barkley is going to just die off and you know, but this is like, you know, we're talking about trading Chubb 4 years ago, you know, and that's kind of what you had to do because Nick Chubb still is a very good running back. And it is what it is, but those injuries are going to start hitting. They don't miss anybody after the age of 28, 29, 30. And it's really about, you know, maintenance. And I don't think they are going to keep Barkley as the only guy that is going to get sled. And what made Barkley so productive and so valuable is that he was one of the last workhorses in the NFL. And he was getting 30 carries a game. I don't think we see that next year. I think they really miss Kenneth Gainwell right now, actually, when we're looking at that running game.
Yeah. And, you know, still like they had Will Shipley, they went and traded for Tank Bigsby. And it's like, they just tried to just run the vets and get this thing right. And the whole Eagles soap opera was a completely different story, but they just still tried to, you know, run the wheels off Barkley, and it just wasn't there. The efficiency and the explosive plays from last year, we didn't see it.
Yeah, it's tough, man. And we're not going to be looking at somebody that has positive regression. I think that we're looking at somebody that is going to, at best, kind of stay level for next year. And then we're going to see the downturn, you know, like, I guess the best news that we're going to hear is Barkley is going to be back in the 4th, 5th round of 2026, probably. When it's all said and done, you know, dropping from the 2nd round to the 4th or 5th round. When people are going to be going for like the Judkins and, you know, the obviously Trey Van Henderson and these guys that are going to slide up based on age alone. It could be a good value, but at the same time, this is not going to get any better, you know, return at this point. For Saquon Barkley, this is the highest you're going to get. You know, he was always a big sell last year after that massive workload, but it is what it is. Lamar was actually a pretty disappointing guy. Obviously, we saw injuries with him, but I'm seeing with Lamar that he is still an uber talented guy, but he cannot get around that corner like he used to, you know, and that's natural. That's natural. It's not a knock on Lamar at all, but the corner to get off that edge, it's not as clean as it used to be. It's tough because he really relied on that play a lot when he was flushed out of the pocket. Not to say that it's going to dramatically affect him, but, you know, I think that the days of taking Lamar 101, 102 might be beyond us, you know, behind us. And, you know, he did deal with quite a few injuries this year. How do you feel about Lamar in 2026? Harbaugh's gone. And is there a world where, you know, we're looking at, man, I think that the top 3 quarterbacks in 2026, obviously Allen, is Drake Maye like the 2nd or 3rd guy, like probably on this list right here. And then what are we looking at? It's kind of a wide open situation here. Like, I mean, it's Josh Allen. I mean, I think that Justin Herbert, I think that
there's still like a clear tier on Dynasty Data Labs. It's Josh Allen, Drake Maye, and then there's 7 position players, and then you get Lamar as the QB3, and then that's where it kind of becomes Do you want to get a reroll? And do you believe Jayden Daniels is going to get back to an elite tier? Joe Burrow is the QB5. Caleb Williams is starting to have an ascension. Like, that's it now. Are dynasty managers now thinking, like, I'm just going to wait on quarterbacks? Do you really need to have 2 studs or even 1 now?
So Patrick Mahomes is going to get the injury discount. I mean, Bo Nix is going to slide up. There's people that I love. Bo Nix has proved me kind of wrong this year. I mean, I don't think that he is just strictly a game manager at this stage. You know, he definitely has shown me that he can elevate in big moments. He still has this, what the hell is he doing type of mentality for a couple quarters in the game. But I think one of the biggest risers is Trevor Lawrence, though. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, after what we've seen the last couple of games and whatever he does in the playoffs, I think that's going to dictate a lot of what we see. The CJ Stroud show out in the playoffs, this Trevor Lawrence show out in the playoffs. I think Jordan Love is sliding. I think Baker Mayfield is sliding. It's tough. It's a wide open top 5 quarterback in Dynasty right now. It is.
Yeah.
If I had to say it, it'd be Allen, Maye, Caleb Williams, and then Lamar, and then I don't know where you want to go after that, but it's hard to rank. I'm not jealous of people that are already trying to get content from rankings right now, because it's not pretty out there. And then we could talk about the 2 wide receivers that were drafted in the 2nd round of Dynasty startups. You know, everyone wants to talk about BTJ. I get 5 messages a day in Discord or Twitter about, are you buying or selling BTJ? I don't even know how to answer that question. I don't know if I want to buy him, because we have seen the emergence of Parker Washington. We did see them trade.
They went and acquired Jacoby
Myers. They
and
got
extended
Jacoby Myers.
him.
And then we're looking at, you know, is that dual threat guy coming back, and is he going to be playing wide receiver and cornerback still, or is Hunter going to be a cornerback now? I don't know how they're going to play this out, but this wide open room that everyone was like pounding on the table this last offseason, this was before Hunter got drafted. Everyone was like, oh, BTJ is going to be the wide receiver 1. And I think people were trading guys like CeeDee Lamb for him, and they had him valued. Like, if I'm looking at this chart right now, BTJ, where are you?
You know, I have him as wide receiver 19 on Dynasty Data Lab. Like, to me,
Brian, so BTJ going above Puka, Drake London, JSN, AJ Brown. Those are the egregious ones in my mind. And you could make a case for Brian Thomas over AJ Brown at this point, but over Puka, over Nico Collins, Drake London, JSN. Oh,
yeah, it was crazy. Like we saw BTJ go 108 to 202. Like, if you wanted him, you had to trade up and go and acquire him at full freight. And now, like, looking at this, he's wide receiver 19. He's going in the 5th round. It's like, sure, I'm going to go buy. I think the most likely outcome for Brian Thomas Jr. is probably a trade. We saw when Liam Cohen, he went and said he's going to be a big slot for me this year. It's going to be awesome. And you know, I jumped on that. I drank the Kool-Aid. They started to use him like they used him at LSU. And you saw Brian Thomas kind of come back and give us some production. But now you've already said there's Hunter, there's Myers, there's Parker Washington. Like, that is a crowded room. And I think they're going to go and try and explore trades on Brian Thomas Jr.
So you think he's going to possibly get traded?
I think so. I think if you go and if you sign Myers like that and you have Travis Hunter, whether it's going to be both sides of the ball, I think if you go and spend the capital you did to draft him 2nd overall, he's going to be a wide receiver for you. You're going to utilize him. So I think that now makes Brian Thomas Jr. not have a chair in that dressing room.
I mean, realistically, I would love to see him on the Bills, or, I don't think that they would trade with the Bills, given that they are now contenders in the AFC. But I mean, I don't know if I don't think they're gonna let him go. It would take a pretty penny, I think, at this point, if they are gonna move him. But I mean, there's another guy, Ladd McConkey, that was drafted to 11, not that far off from here. Like he was drafted about 6 spots off of Brian Thomas Jr. And this was around the time where they did take Trey Harris, and nobody really saw Quentin Johnston having his breakout, or I guess half-year breakout that he had. But I mean, Gadsden also was over there. There's a lot of mouths to feed suddenly on this team. Are you still believing in Ladd McConkey, or is this team, Herbert spreads the ball out a lot.
Herbert spreads the ball out. Yep.
McConkey is not getting the target share that I want to see out of an alpha, out of a guy that I'm drafting in the second, third round.
And that was definitely something where I said, okay, like the tape is there from the rookie year. The analytics still look good in the start of the year where QJ was getting more production. They lost Joe Alt. They lost Slater. Like, I didn't factor in that Ladd McConkey could get overshadowed as an alpha, and we saw that. So I think he's definitely a soft buy for me. Like, I think that he still shows that he can run crisp routes and he has strong hands. The analytics are there, but it might not be us thinking the ascension is going to be there where he's a top 10 wide receiver moving forward. Yeah. I mean, I think that he's going to settle in closer to like a Zay Flowers, even though Zay Flowers finished as a wide receiver 7 on the year, which was incredible. I didn't see that coming at all. It felt like an absolute roller coaster when we're looking back on it. But at the same time, I think that's like the value of Ladd McConkey, like as opposed to being closer to like he was in like that AJ Brown, Drake London category, and that's not where I see him at all. So I think things will shift. I think that if his ADP goes back a little bit, I'd be in on him. I think that, the Chargers, depending on, their success in the offseason, they're going to do some stuff. They're going to kind of move things around. I think, Harbaugh, man, imagine if the brothers get together. I'm talking about Harbaugh as a defensive coordinator over there. I think that they're going to improve this offense in some way, shape, or form, and I think that Ladd McConkey will benefit in the coming years. I don't have anything to back this up quite yet. It's still early, but they believe in Ladd McConkey. They've come out and said that Ladd McConkey's our guy, and I think that we're going to see the offense shift a little closer to him getting a bigger target share at least. So I'm buying Ladd McConkey, especially with that usage we're looking at. Let's go to the good though. I mean, let's move over to, we're not going to talk about Drake Maye too much. We see it, obviously Drake Maye is the QB1 right now in fantasy, I believe, or close to it, as the season. So, I mean, you and I were pounding the table for this guy. We hit one, Dane. Yep.
We got
it.
We got one. All right. Bo Nix made us look kind of bad, but Drake Maye made us look even better. So I think the entire offseason we were saying Drake Maye over Bo Nix, and that wasn't a wrong take by any means. I mean, Bo Nix still produced, but Drake Maye produced better numbers. So, I mean, Matt Stafford. Let's talk about Matt Stafford being drafted in the 12th round in Dynasty startups. I mean, what a league winner Matt Stafford is. Matt Stafford, Drake Maye are going head-to-head for the MVP race. I mean, Drake Maye is still a value. He was going in the 3rd round of startups, so he was in 306. Matt Stafford, 1202. At the beginning of the season, it was Stafford's injuries, might retire. Like, I don't know if he's coming out. Everyone was picking up Jimmy Garoppolo, and man, he was an absolute steal.
Yeah, man. QB3, like you said, the injury was there, the contract discussions were there. Zero QBers are rejoicing, man. If you were going and punting until you tried to get a Stafford and Geno didn't pan out, but I think that's somebody that you probably paired somebody that you didn't care who you had in that super flex spot. Like Stafford.
Yeah, I mean, if you accidentally got Stafford in the 12th round, like you were like, oh, I guess I'll just get like a QB4 or something, he was starting in that QB2 spot within the first 3 weeks, like there was a team where I had Mahomes, Penix, and Stafford, and I had Stafford starting over Penix like after the second week, third week, like I was like, send it, Stafford. Like, I don't care if this is a short time, and I don't even care what's going to go down, but like it was free money. You were playing with free money that lasted the whole season. I think Stafford was on a lot of championship teams. All these old dynasty teams, I had Stafford like that thought they were dead. Like he definitely revived a lot of teams out there. Trey McBride was above and beyond the tight end one. Like by like 50 points, like by like it was incredible. He was in the second round. You probably could have taken Trey McBride in the mid first and still got the same production as some of these guys that were taken over there, Does Trey McBride continue to be that tight end one? Because we didn't really see the massive rise until Kyler. I mean, Kyler getting benched unlocked Trey McBride fully.
Yep.
Kyler's probably not going to be playing. I don't know. We're going to talk about that, but I don't know if Kyler is going to be back at all. I think that they're going to have to probably try and trade him. Speaking of which, I mean, we're looking at Kyler's money, $53 million in dead cap, almost $55 million. That's insane.
Yep.
Not as insane as Tua, but still, that is tough. Like you are setting your team back. Is the cap hit real? Is money real? Like at that point, do you think that Kyler's going to be on a new team next year?
Man, the way that these owners are in Arizona too, like they're notoriously stingy. Like, I don't know if they go and do something like the Broncos did where they just eat that deal and get rid of Kyler. And I don't know what a package is to go and move that to another team. Like, I don't think it's something as simple as saying it's a Kyler and a Tua swap, but I don't know. Like, I don't know who you're going to find for a taker. And that's damn near the death penalty for Arizona to go and try and move off of him.
Well, they're going to have to eat this entire, it would be $55 million that they're going to have to eat up, Yeah. But what do they expect to happen now after benching him? Do they think that they're just going to like ice it over? Like, you know what I mean? Like get him whatever, like get him a new coach and hope that that's going to make him come back and play for this organization. I mean, I think he's an emotional guy. Like he's probably hurt from this situation. They might have to eat this money. They might have to eat this money, and Kyler might be playing for, I don't know, like where the hell would Kyler go right now? The Raiders? I don't know. It's tough. I don't even see him fitting in any teams that need quarterbacks either. No offense. They would have to change the entire offensive scheme for Kyler to come there. So it's messy, and Tua, nobody's taking on this. This is $56 million in dead cap, 99
million dead cap. Yeah.
99 million dead cap. That is insane. Who did this? Tua's agent is, you gotta, hats off to Tua's agent. Like, I don't know who you are, but that was a masterclass. 99 million, baby. Like, that is, the Dolphins are going to go broke. Tua's on that team next year. There's no way Tua's getting moved. Kyler, it would take like, I think they would let Kyler even just sit out for the year. They would like redshirt him and still roll out like a Malik Willis or something, like Malik Willis in this offense above and beyond Kyler, right?
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to say, but I think that at this point, that's probably accurate.
Yeah. And I think most likely outcome, like Brissett is still under contract. So I guess it depends who they hire for a coach and an OC and what they're going to do, but it's probably going to be Brissett starting for this team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're going to be looking at a bridge quarterback regardless. I don't think that they're not in a position to draft somebody. This isn't the class that you want to draft anybody anyway. But I mean, it's ugly, dude. They don't have a great situation going right here. So I don't envy, and it's going to be tough. Like that's why I'm looking at Trey McBride. That's what the segue that we had right here. Is Trey McBride going to get hurt as far as this value goes? Or are we just forgetting that Trey McBride is the tight end one no matter what? Kind of like, we did that with Brock Bowers and that didn't end very well. Geno Smith did not keep Brock Bowers afloat, even though everyone's like, well, Geno Smith is better than, I don't even remember who they had.
Aiden O'Connell.
Like Aiden O'Connell and the hodgepodge of like random quarterbacks that they threw out there. But right. I mean, I don't know. Was he better than Aiden O'Connell? I'm not sure.
Yeah, like I think whoever comes in for Arizona, they know that it's not Marv, it's not Michael Wilson, like it's Trey McBride, and that's what the offense is going to revolve around. They have to hopefully have a healthy Trey Benson, or they're going to address the run game because it was putrid with James Conner being out. But I think that Trey McBride, while he has some regression, he was so far ahead of the second place tight end that we're good. We're good with regression. He's still going to be an elite asset. Don't panic.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel. That's how I want to believe it. But I think that there is, some hesitation. I think if you're looking at Trey McBride, if he starts going where Brock Bowers went last year in the first round, I might have to pass on him. Like Brock Bowers pushed all the way to the 111 last year. He was going, in that range before CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown and everybody. I think that if he starts going in that range, I'm gonna pass, definitely.
Yeah. And to go to that, we've seen the emergence of Colson Loveland, Harold Fanning, Gadsden showed flashes. There's Tyler Warren, whether you're in on that or not. Like, you don't have to go looking off Data Lab. They're 8th and 9th right now, going off the board ahead of Lamar Jackson, Neighbors, Amon-Ra, CD. Like you said, like if you don't want to pay that high price to get what you think is a positional advantage, you can wait until the 3rd or 4th or 5th round and grab one of these rookies that we think are going to continue to ascend.
Yeah. I mean, or you can go get a George Kittle, who is continually tight end 3, tight end 4 on the season, no matter what. Yeah, I mean, it's not like it used to be. It's not like there was 3 or 4 tight ends that you could get and everything just faded out. It's a more clean straight line right now. And you are right when if you miss on these 2 elite guys, these 3 elite guys, whatever you want to call it, there's still a lot of guys in the back. There's a Sam Laporta that's on an injury discount that you're probably going to be able to get in the 5th, 6th round.
Yeah, there's Tucker Kraft coming off an ACL. There's, Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts. I mean, Kincaid had a revival of somewhat, like I'm not saying, but if you're going to stack up with these wide receivers or these running backs early on, you're going to make up for that, whatever that positional advantage, whether you're in a TEP or not. You can, and there's always these risers in the midseason, like Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz was tight end 9 this year, and he was in the 15th round, 14th round, like left for dead. Chigakonkwo, I want to tap him everywhere. I think that Chig, correct me if I'm wrong, is he a free agent this year, or he is Chig Okonkwo? I feel like he's been on this team for like 7 years.
It feels like he's been in the league for 4 years, and they have Gunnar Helm coming up.
Yeah. Chigo Okonkwo's contract, he signed a 4-year contract, And so it is. He's a free agent. He is a free agent. I think that they're going to let him walk too. I don't think that they're going to. I mean, Chico Conk will come on and be the tight end one for about 7 or 8 teams in the league right now. So I think that he's a big time target. If you are looking for a cheap tight end, you could probably get Chico Conquo for, like a mid third and filler. Like I don't know
snack on that. Yep.
If people aren't aware that he is a free agent this year, I think you can really just kind of give fluff for this guy and a Jalen McMillan or something, like somebody that you're not going to ever start in the league. But before we get into a couple more of these guys and then get into what we're going to do next year and the guys that we really want, we're going to kick it over to the Podfather. So we're doing origin drafts. We are already drafting rookies, guys. So we are already doing 2026 rookie drafts. So this is a great thing to do if you want to get some practice. You go into the origin drafts. And you can really get accustomed to the draft class before you actually get into your own drafts. I think that it's just beneficial for you, and you can make some money doing it. So let's hear about the Origins draft, and we'll come right back.
Hey, pop quiz hotshot. Who is Jeremiah Love? Who's Fernando Mendoza? Who's Makai Lemon? Well, they just happen to be the first 3 picks off the board in the 2026 Origins tournament, which is currently live on FastDraft. That is right. 2026 Best Ball has already begun on FastDraft. Use code FAST to get a $50 deposit match. Code is FAST for a $50 deposit match. Best Ball 2026 is now. Start drafting faster.
Yeah, so that is FastDraft. And if you want to go over there, use our promo code DEGEN, so DEGN, you can get up to a $50 deposit match. All right, man. So a couple guys that I think need to be talked about. JSN taking 308. Is JSN the wide receiver one in Dynasty? Do you think that we're looking at JSN going over the likes of CeeDee Lamb, over the likes of Amon-Ra St. Brown, Malik Neighbors? Is he going to be that set it, forget it? Maybe he might not go over Jamar Chase, but over Justin Jefferson? Probably, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think you can argue that he's in a bucket with Jamar Chase and Puka. I would, Puka obviously has Stafford starting to age out. That was a lie this year that we just talked about. But are you worried about Sam Darnold? Are you worried that Clint Kubiak leaves and this offense changes and there's some volatility to JSN?
I think that there's always that worry when you're talking about having a quarterback that is on the cusp of maybe falling out into obscurity at any moment. There's always this thing in the back of your brain, you know what I mean, with the Baker Mayfields. Obviously, we see Geno kind of falling off. Well, that's age, and then also Geno had a couple of good years, but Sam Darnold is looking at. Geno had as much success as Sam Darnold to a degree. Coming back and being revived, and then all of a sudden just falling back to his original form. I'm not saying that Sam Darnold's going to do that. I think that Sam Darnold's in a great system right now, but there's always a fear that Sam Darnold might start seeing ghosts again. And that's never going to go away from me until he's 4 or 5 years into this. And, that's going to make me feel good. But we've seen two seasons. Yeah. 2 full seasons, obviously, with KOC and now that he left KOC and is in a different team and finding success, when I always put his success fully based on the fact that he was with Justin Jefferson, that he was with Addison, that he had this elite offensive skill set, this system in place. And now that he's doing it in Seattle, I believe in Sam Darnold. I just have a fear in the back of my brain. It's this little crevice in the back of my brain that says Sam Darnold isn't here to stay. And I've had that for Baker Mayfield too. Even though Baker Mayfield has been good, I can't shake the 4 years of craziness, like just nonsense. But I don't think that JSN would ever fall. I don't know. We saw it with Justin Jefferson. We never thought Justin Jefferson could fall anywhere close to where he's at right now. I'll never say never, but I'm not worried short term with JSN at all.
Yeah, like, man, since I think that we met, you knew the one player that I've always had in my corner was JSN. Like, that's been my guy. And the expansive route tree, the separation scores, the hands, like, he is the alpha. I don't think anything is going to change. I think he's getting into that QB proof territory. Like, he's just everything to Seattle. And if they lose Kubiak, I think that Mike McDonald is a smart enough coach to go and fill that hire at OC and keep it going. Like, I think JSN is here to stay.
Yeah, I'm with it, man. Talking about the wide receiver one, let's talk about the rushing leader and James Cook. James Cook was taking 503, and that's the RB1, like based on usage, based on yards, touchdowns, everything. He showed out. He destroyed his ADP, going in the 5th round and being, he finished as the 1, correct? Or am I
finishes RB6?
Okay. But as total yards go and everything, I think he's the rushing leader in the NFL. So in fantasy, he wasn't really catching that, catching passes, but not really to the extent of what you need to be a top end fantasy running back. But is James Cook somebody that you think is going to? I had him as a guy that's not going to keep the production going this year.
I had him as a sell going into the year. I thought for sure, like, the touchdown regression is there, and he proved me wrong. Like, Buffalo is so up to the cap. What can they go and do? They've been healthy scratching Keon Coleman. They're trying to piece together wide receiver rooms. Like, we have Dalton Kincaid, but the snap share isn't there. Like, does anything change? Is it just going to be Allen and Cook? Like, I think that's still a guy that if people are weary of him in the offseason and they want to move off of him, that's some guy that puts up points that I'm okay going to buy right now. What his price point is, it's probably, a first and a second, a first and something equivalent to that, some kind of a snack. I'm not going to go and pay 2 seconds because I don't think he gets to the Bijan, the Gibbs, probably a territory that, well, A-Chain's definitely in and Henderson's getting there. But I think James Cook is here to stay.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely got a couple more years of production. I don't know if it ever looks like this year, but I said this last year. I said that they're going to add some pieces that they're going to want to. What did they add this year? I mean, they went and got
Brandon Cooks.
They got more and Brandon Cooks, and they thought that Keon Coleman was going to take a step up, and he's been a DMP the entire year, and
they had Shavers and Hawes step up, but those aren't permanent solutions for you.
Yeah, and I think if they fall out in the playoffs, like if they lose to the Patriots or have a heartbreaking loss to the Texans or something, and I don't know, dude, you gotta blow this team up. You gotta blow it all up. The Bills have to be completely. The coaching system, Brady, everybody, I think they have to just cut ties because that offense is awful, man. Like that, you have one of the best quarterbacks to ever play football, and there's no reason for you to be losing to all these teams and really just like barely making the playoffs, but like they were in the hunt. They didn't win their division, and they were vying for a playoff spot for most of the season.
Yeah, they looked lackluster at time. And this is something I wanted to talk about when we were talking about Harbaugh. So I'll get to it now. Is McDermott going to feel some pressure? Like, I think with Harbaugh being fired, it's 18 years and blah, blah, blah. But I think this kind of sets a new precedent that no coach should be safe. Like, if you can't get over the hump now that Lamar, Burrow, Mahomes isn't here, like you don't have an excuse to not go and beat Drake Maye and Travion Henderson. Like, they don't have the pieces that should stop the Bills from coming out of the AFC, in my opinion, right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they can beat.
Like, this has to be the Bills' year.
You know what? There's nothing that moves me on this team, to be honest with you. That defense is so easily scored on. You know, like, Josh Allen has to win these games. And Josh Allen's fully capable of winning games, but ultimately the team build, everything, it's Josh Allen and then what? You know, like, it's been like this for like 5 years where, you know, Josh Allen feels all the pressure of winning these games and he falls up short, and then they just run it back the next season, and they run it back the next season. They don't change a whole lot, you know, like, you think that they're going to like build up the defense, or they're going to, you know, really pull these pieces together. But like, it's been kind of poor management when it comes to the cap hit and the team build in general. And if this is another year of this, you got to do something, man. Cause I can't imagine the front office, everybody just being like, all right, run it back for another year.
Bills Mafia won't stand for it.
No, but I mean, this is kind of what they've been dealing with their whole lives, you know, like this is what they're used to. So they won't stand for it, but they're going to run it back and be happy and be slamming through tables and you know, in the next season, whenever, you know, the first game comes back. But before we get out of here, let's talk about any of these players that we talked about, or anybody off this list. Who are you absolutely drafting, no matter the ADP, whether it's a big time value or somebody that's already juiced up in ADP? Like, who's a guy that you need on your dynasty teams if you're doing a startup this year?
Look, man, if I can get the value that I see Justin Jefferson sitting at, I'm going and getting Justin Jefferson. I'm trying to find him here. Like, he's at the back end of the second. I think that's going to be the cheapest that we see JJ. I had a whole other list that, you know, I wanted to call buys of Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker that are going to end up on different teams, but it's Justin Jefferson. He's been an elite asset for so long that you have to buy this dip.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to match you a wide receiver here, and I'm going to talk about Emeka Egbuka. So Emeka Egbuka, obviously he started off super strong, but tailed off. And you know, we saw some guys get healthy. We saw Godwin come back. Mike Evans came back, and it was just, you know, it was tough. I don't think that Baker Mayfield was completely healthy, and I think that team in general just had a hard time getting the ball out in time. And Egbuka really works on that tight window, like, you know, quick release. And Baker Mayfield didn't really have that towards the end of the season. But if he's going to get any sort of discount, if we're talking about Emeka Egbuka even staying in the same range, you know, like he's a 6th rounder. If he's like even a 4th or 5th rounder next year, I'm tapping him all day. I think that we're looking at somebody that has that JSN trajectory, that has the capability of being that alpha on this team. And realistically, we can talk about target competition. Chris Godwin doesn't move me at all. I know he signed a new contract, but realistically, he's 29. Mike Evans is 31, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, this team's aged out a little bit, and it's only a matter of time before Egbuka is going to be that one, and these guys are going to take a back seat to him.
Yeah. You know, let's play in the fact that Baker Mayfield, I think those injuries were much more severe than we heard about through the season. The snap share, I don't really understand why, because Godwin and Evans come back, that you're going to run it back with them. Like, you have a stud that was probably going where Brian Thomas was last year, right? Like, I think it was safe to say that Egbuka was, you know, you were going and getting JJ plus for Egbuka when he was on his hot streak. And I think the snap share, I'm with you. I think Egbuka is going to climb up. So right now he's sitting as start of the 4th round, wide receiver 13. I think that is a buy. I think he settles in a little bit higher than that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that we're looking at, I want to say that he's going to go in that same range that we saw Lad McConkey and Zay Flowers go in. I think that that's probably where he's going to settle. And I think that I would take Ibuka over these two guys very easily. I think that Ibuka, if he does fall into that range of Zay Flowers, like that's a gift. I think that we're looking at somebody that might still start off slower, much like JSN his second year. But I think by middle of the second year, it's wheels up for him. And you're going to be looking at, that this same trajectory where he comes on middle of the second year, and then third year he is a wide receiver one. I think that that's just the timeline for him. So who else do you think that you're going to be walking away drafts with? So I think that give me a running back that you want to grab. I know that this is tough in the offseason to talk about running backs because, the draft itself is going to happen, but is there anybody that you, even if they're like super high, like obviously like an Ashton Genty, like the way that he finished, still buying in on him, discounted guys, Bucky Irvin having an off year to a degree, obviously injuries and stuff like that. Anybody stand out to you?
Give me RJ Harvey. Right now he's RB17 on Dynasty Data Lab. That's a guy that if he's going in the 6th round, I don't think that the dead zone for RBs is what it used to be with last year's class coming in and starting to fill some of the void. I think the way once Dobbins was injured and he was utilized, we were worried about him not being able to run through the tackles and sustain those big hits. And Peyton has just loved him. Like, I think there's always going to be a timeshare in Denver, but Harvey is a guy that I'm going to see elevate up draft boards.
Yeah. I mean, I'm ready to get hurt again. I think that I am definitely going to want Kenneth Walker shares. And that's not because of what I saw from him this year, but it's because I think that he is going to be on a new team next year. And this is what I've always been saying, that Kenneth Walker, you want to buy him now. And the situation is get Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet on the same team. If you have Kenneth Walker, grab Zach Charbonnet, not because you want to handcuff, but because they're going to be ones on different teams. Like, I think that you're going to see Sharp take on the running back one position next year, and then Walker, he's going to go on to a different team. He might be on the Saints, he might jump over and hell, I mean, imagine Kenneth Walker with Patrick Mahomes or
Yep.
Kenneth Walker
On the Vikings?
On the Vikings. I mean, there's just so many options right here. I think that he's going to be a wanted man. And I think he's going to be affordable too. I think that his contract, he's not getting a massive contract after, the way he's kind of limped into the last couple of years. So I think that he's going to be very desirable in the market. And I think that he's definitely going to fall pretty nicely. So I think I want Kenneth Walker all day. Go ahead.
It's a big running back class for free agency this year. And I think Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker are the two that highlight those free agents.
Yeah. Tell me somebody that you want to avoid next year. Like who, especially if we're looking at ADP, obviously we don't know exactly how these guys are going to fall, but is there anybody that has been rising and you just don't want anything to do with?
There's one guy, and I'm gonna change my answer because another player is right beside him, and I think that's George Pickens. We saw the hype, we saw what he does in Dallas, but I think the best George Pickens is gonna be staying in Dallas. If he goes somewhere else, do we see him slide closer to back what he was with the Steelers? I don't know if I'm willing to pay that price of a third-round draft pick to take George Pickens if he's going to end up on a different team.
Yeah, I'm with that. I don't know if I want any George Pickens. I don't think I want any Rashee Rice now that we're getting all this news on. What is this? Another domestic situation with Rashee Rice right now? Like, I don't know.
I haven't even caught up on it. I was doing the hockey practices like I was telling you, and I saw him on probably 10 leagues come up on the trade block. So it ain't good. You brought it up last year that he has to keep his nose out of trouble, and he didn't even make the offseason.
No, man, it's tough, man. I've traded for him. I've gone for him. I've drafted him, and I don't know. It might be a little too far gone. But another guy that I think I want to avoid right here is Roma Dunze. I don't think that we are looking at a team that has enough to go around for somebody like Roma Dunze. I know that he is still going to be on this team as the wide receiver one-ish. I think that DJ Moore might be on a different team next year. So we're looking at a team with Roma Dunze, Luther Burden, and Colson Loveland. I think that Rome is probably going to take the back seat to these guys most games. Although I think that he might still be like, okay. I think that he's going to have more of like a Devonta Smith type of trajectory where he's like a boom bust, big game and then really nothing, then big game and then nothing. And I think that where he's going to be going in drafts, probably in the 4th round area, just because I think DJ Moore, the news of him going to a different team is probably going to hit, and everyone's going to be like, okay, Roma Dunze is the guy that I want to get.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to overreact to that. I don't think I want to get as high as Roma Dunze is going to get right now, because I still think that he's probably not going to ever be an alpha on that team.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, we see Luther Burden, we see the emergence of Colson Loveland. Is Roma Dunze going to kind of revert to what he was in his rookie season, where he's just running go routes and trying to catch deep balls? Like, I think he's going to be an ancillary piece moving forward, like you said.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Anybody else you want to add to the list before we get out of here?
Go by Cam Ward. Don't know what's going on. They have to surround him, but he showed pieces that, the footwork, the arm talent. If the Titans get it right, Cam Ward's going to boom. Go Cam Ward.
Hell yeah, Cam Ward. And I'm going to throw out Jayden Higgins. Go buy Jayden Higgins too, man. Go get this guy. I think that Houston is going to make it a priority in the offseason to really get Jayden Higgins in there as hopefully the Batman to Nico Collins Robin. I think that we're looking at an expanded role as the time's gone on, and I think that we've seen them both produce pretty well at the end of the year. So I think they're kind of figuring it out, and it took a while, but I think Jayden Higgins' second season is going to be a monster. But that's it for us, man. I think that we covered a whole lot of stuff in this pod. I think that obviously moving forward, we're going to put 2025 behind us, and we're going to be talking about the rookie class, talking about 2026, the guys that we think are big values. Hopefully we get in some mock drafts. Hopefully we get in some real drafts, so we have some actual content that we can go off and really kind of share that with you guys. Dane, you've been working on the channel for a little bit now, solo pods and stuff like that. Yeah. I'm excited because every pod that we had, I was like, what are you doing, man? What do you got going on? And you'd be like, just chilling.
But I'm in the Discord, man. I'm there.
Tell the people what you've been working on and what you've been doing.
So yeah, it's been a busy year for me on Player Profiler. I'm part of the news desk, so I'm keeping everybody up to date with player write-ups. You can see that on FastDraft. You can go to Player Profiler website, read all of that. We have a great team over there. And I dip my toes in the water of doing a solo podcast where I have the Mad Market Value show, where I try to talk about dynasty buys and sells and how to read the market and start to build or tear down your dynasty team.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's pretty sweet. I think I have all your stuff right here. Bang, bang. That's it. So if you are into the Mad Dogs content, which you should definitely be into Mad Dogs content, going over the Player Profiler Now channel on YouTube and check out what he's been doing, man. I mean, I love it, man. He's killing it. Are you doing the thumbnails too? Are you doing those?
I got all the templates made by Brittany, yeah, and then I just go and touch them up when I can. Usually I'm watching my daughter's cheerleading. I'm trying to put it all together on a mobile, and I'm limping it through.
Yeah, well, you're killing it, dude. I love to see it, man. Yeah, so I mean, and on the channel itself, and then obviously in player profile, we are doing all the rookie series. So right now, I am doing a lot of write-ups for some players, and all of that's going to be dropped, I think, in the next couple weeks, I believe. I'm not sure exactly when they're going to drop that, but doing a lot of rookie content right now. All of my shows are on break, which is nice. I'm not doing 25 thumbnails every day, and I get to kind of work on my own thing and do my own thing. So Dynasty Degens is back, and we'll be doing a weekly pod and then also some specials sprinkled in. So stay tuned while we figure out a proper day. We're going to have it on a set day and a set time. But right now, we're just running with it. We appreciate you guys joining today, and we'll catch you next week. Peace.